Talk to the heads of some of India's top banks, and they'll tell you mobile banking is one of their fastest growing segments. Some banks are showing annual growth in mobile banking in excess of 50%. Can mobile banking go further, faster? What are some of the parallel security risks that we should watch out for? These are just some of the questions that we're going to be addressing today. Hello and welcome to ET Now. I'm Manvi Dhillon and you're watching Airtel Business Presents, Empowering Enterprises, powered by the Economic Times. Meet our panel. With me in the Delhi studio, Shiv Kumar Bhasin, Chief Technology Officer with the State Bank of India. Salil Khanna, CEO West with Airtel Business. Joining us from Mumbai, we have Rajiv Sabharwal, Executive Director at ICICI Bank, and Ramaswamy Venkachalam, Managing Director, India and South Asia with FIS Global. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm so glad that each of you could make the time. Salil Khanna, mobile banking. I just alluded to the fact that it's one of the fastest growing segments for most banks, but really, beyond the numbers, where are we now?
So I think I'll just start off with some of the statistics. 94 crore mobile subscribers in India, around 21 crore with smartphones. So smartphone users, 21 crore. Similar number around people who are using mobile internet banking. But if you compare it with people who use mobile banking, the number is, I think, below 4 crores. So clearly, while mobile banking is showing a lot of exponential growth year on year, and most of the banks are talking 40 to 50%, but still there is a lot ground which it can cover. If you compare it with the people who are having a smartphone, who are using mobile internet, and who can potentially use mobile banking, I think there is sufficient room to grow. And all these indices are actually growing 40 to 50% year on year. Smartphones users in India are expected to be close to 60 crores by the year 2020. Similarly, the number of savings bank account are also is expected to be around the same number. So I think over the next 5 to 6 years, I see a lot more action happening further on the ground, where mobile banking could continue to see similar 40-50% growth year on year, and ultimately be somewhere close to the number of savings banks account that we have.
Let's get bank specific, and we're very fortunate today to have both ICICI Bank and State Bank of India on the show with us. Mr. Sabharwal, when I say mobile banking, what's the landscape like? What does it really mean? What's out there, whether it's futuristic or it's here and now? What does mobile banking really mean for the customer?
It's a very good question in terms of why it is picking up. You just talked about how it is growing. We are seeing a growth of close to about 400 to 500% in terms of value of transactions. And by the end of the year, we expect to have close to about 1 crore customers using mobile banking. And if we look at why this change is happening, one clearly is mobile banking offers you convenience which no other channel does. It's 24/7, it's right in your palm, anywhere you are. The second thing which mobile banking is allowing is to look at a customer as an individual. So we can offer each individual, each mobile banking customer what he wants. So it becomes a segment of one, and that has never happened before. I believe all these things, along with availability of more smartphones, prices of smartphones coming down, and hopefully we will see prices for data also coming down. And all this together will play into a much more interesting game in the future. Already we are seeing digital channels contribute 60% of our transactions. The type of services which can offer are also growing. Today we offer close to 110 different services through our mobile banking app, which is expected to grow further. Things like call to chat, are clearly picking up, and we believe that mobile offers a unique medium to reach out to the last mile too.
I'm going to pose the same question to Mr. Bhasin. What's the game plan as far as mobile banking at the State Bank of India is concerned? What's the potential? What's the future landscape looking like?
Given the current digital initiatives India-wide, when we look the Indian government perspective, where the dream is that it should be the digital India. So State Bank, as popularly known as a banker to every Indian. So we are along with the Indian government, we want to be the banker for the digital India. We see that most of the transactions which today we see on the internet banking or in the any other channels like ATM, we want them to be rather moving to the mobile banking. So mobile banking should be the one of the fastest growing segment. That's what we are targeting. And to enable that, as I said, that we need to have each and every service today which is available in the branch with the similar level of trust and the security should be offered to the customer on the mobile channel as well.
That's critical. Every service that is currently available at a physical branch should be available on a mobile as well, and that's when it's true mobile banking. Let me draw Ramas into the conversation as well. In technology terms, are banks really having to make a very big tech leap in order to offer mobile banking? Remember, I'm asking you this question as a non-technologist.
I think banks have done a wonderful job of looking at their demographics of their customer base and looking at what kind of services they need to move onto the mobile banking platform and at what rate. So what we are noticing is customers, which is banks essentially, which is what we serve, coming to us and asking us to develop the products and solutions in such a manner as would facilitate the ease of use. Because what you're challenged with is how do you adopt to using a product when you have such a wide variety of products and services that you offer. How do you dumb it down and how do you make it possible for the least common denominator to use in a simple and easy way and securely. One of the other challenges which we have noticed and we are seeing is that there is a trend towards app only kind of banking, so which is an interesting evolution where you will find that banks may decide that they will offer certain kind of capabilities only on the app, like you notice with certain other e-commerce providers. So that is the trend that as technology providers we are seeing in response to both the bankers, Mr. Basir and Mr. Sabharwal, and some of the points they brought out in terms of how quickly mobile banking is being adopted and how as technology providers we are having to respond and provide solutions that cater to these ever growing and fast growing needs.
Okay. In recent weeks, I've come to understand how competitive the app space itself is on simple mobile phones, but we won't get into that specifically. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, I want to examine the value proposition from the customer's point of view. I know we've touched upon it, but from the bank's point of view as well. The efficiencies it brings to the table. We'll answer that question in a moment. Welcome back to ET Now. You're watching Airtel Business Presents Empowering Enterprises, powered by the Economic Times. The scope for mobile banking in India. Current statistics suggest the scope is limitless. But it's important to understand where the value is coming from in mobile banking. And Mr. Sabharwal of ICICI Bank, it would be great if you could shed some light on, from ICICI Bank's point of view. Let's put the consumer, the customer aside for a moment. From the bank's point of view, what are the efficiencies that mobile banking is offering to ICICI Bank?
As far as the bank is concerned, we clearly see two advantages. One is on cost. We've seen that doing transactions on a digital channel is about 10 times cheaper than doing it on a physical channel. So that brings in a lower cost to us. The second thing is we also believe that it is more secure to do a transaction, let's say on a mobile versus even on an internet channel. Though internet is safe, but mobile makes it even more safe because the factors for authentication become more, which is the phone itself. The bank looks at it as a channel on its own and does not look at it only as an extension. I think when we have looked at this, we have tailor-made our products only for the mobile. So we didn't just force fit any other channel onto mobile, but we made products and services just for the mobile.
Mr. Sabharwal really underlining the importance of, making it specifically for the mobile. No force fit. That's critical. But I'm hoping the State Bank of India perspective has a few different shades. For instance, you have banks in branches in parts of the country that, others can only imagine for the future. Given all of that, what are some of the driving forces for mobile banking at State Bank of India, given that you have customers in a very wide profile?
Right.
The issues of complexity on the mobile phone are relevant for those customers.
Right.
So what has your experience been? What's pushing mobile banking, or is it an urban phenomena?
Actually, it's not really the urban phenomena. There are many things. One is apart from the customer experience, which is a key, I think which is not apart, which is one of the main key factor.
That's the driving force.
That's the driving force, one of the key driving force. But and cost, we are saying that okay, cost saves, definitely cost saves are there, because as you move to alternate channel, definitely from the branch the cost goes down, or from ATM the cost goes down. But one of the key factor here is, looking at the when you say urban phenomena, nowadays what the key business strategy for SBI is to attract Gen X and onboard the Gen Y before they get onto the banking. And to grow further financial inclusion, we not only are looking for the urban customer, we are looking for the rural customers as well. And I would like to further add here, although what I have experienced, USSD is another one of the key channel. Based on the current statistics within SBI, we have the USSD channel, but based on the last 1 year of statistics, I have seen that the least used channel. And one of the detrimental fact is the cost. The USD session cost is way high, and it is so convenient to bring the lot of rural population into the banking network, bringing more financial inclusion, having the dream of the Prime Minister and the Digital India. Using USSD channel is much more enormous, because nowadays various Chinese make phones which are going to be available in India at 400 rupees, but they will not be smartphones. Even the smartphone.
Point taken, and we should give Salil an opportunity to respond to that. Also reflect on the fact that with the Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana, which is essentially for the uninitiated, massive nationwide financial inclusion mission, the spotlight on mobile banking has really got sharpened in a sense. Address both those issues.
So let me give you a telco spin on
Yes.
the whole paradigm of mobile banking. So if I look at our customer base, and I try to segment it, and three very critical segments emerge. One, people who have smartphone and who use smartphone because they also have a mobile internet.
Right.
Then there is a segment which has has smartphone but doesn't use mobile internet, maybe because of cost issue, maybe because of adoption issue, age, technology savvy, blah blah blah. Then there is a large portion of people who are still on feature phone. The feature phone population will keep on shrinking over the next 5 to 6 years, but still it is supposed to be sizable. It will still be sizable. And the gap between the people who have smartphone and who use smartphone for mobile banking or other mobile internet
Is going to narrow.
It will still be there.
Okay.
It will narrow, but still it will be there. So you have to think in these three buckets separately. What do I do to adopt, to make people adopt more, adopt easily, adopt faster? I think one of the problems that has been happening in this country is that innovation in the banking space is going in a vertical wall, and innovation in the telecom domain is happening separately. So till the time the telcos and the banks actually come together and try to innovate together, keeping the mobile banking objective or the whole digital initiative objective, I don't think we are going to find very easy and very quick answers. But if we work together, to understand, a telco should understand what is a bank's actual need, how does a bank see the growth in the mobile segment, and a bank should understand how the networks of 3G, 4G, how they are going to evolve, whether they are going to be available in rural, urban, at what pace,
So
and then we work
collaborative
together.
exercises
absolutely.
is necessary.
Absolutely.
I want to bring Ramas into and get his thoughts on this. A, is this collaborative approach that Salil just outlined, practical, likely to happen or not? And B, to really list down some of the prerequisites from a technology infrastructure point of view that are essential if we're going to talk about widespread mobile banking in India.
I don't think we have much of a choice. We are already providing technology services on a fully outsourced basis to a number of banks, and we're having to work with the telcos to figure out the optimal model for ensuring that some of the places with with unbanked population we are able to provide them banking services, but on the most efficient bandwidth models or whatever is the telecom infrastructure. So we are having to learn to work together, so there isn't a doubt. And similarly, we are working with the banks as well. So collaboration is no longer an option, it's a must do. In terms of technology infrastructure that is required, I think Rajiv referred to it at the beginning. We are seeing a beautiful convergence. I think the cost of a lot of the smartphones, be it come from China or in other parts of the world, including India themselves, is going to come down dramatically. No longer are you looking at 50,000 plus handsets for smartphone features, but at a fraction of the cost, maybe a tenth even. There are new telecom players that are going to challenge the existing players. So clearly, while the telecom business is under pressure, the data charges are going to drive how much people will use mobile banking. And finally, the user community. Mr. Bhasin referred to the fact that we are having a Gen Y, and they are going to adopt technology like never seen before. So I think this convergence of what you see from the infrastructure handset space, the whole telco space, and also the consumer is going to lead to a critical infrastructure, critical mass at some point in time that will drive I think change in the mobile banking space. It's going to be revolutionary, and we are totally excited about it.
It's going to be revolutionary, no doubt. But is there a perceived security concern that is there parallelly with this revolution? I think there is. We'll see how much of an issue it really is after a quick break. Welcome back. You're with ET Now. You're watching Airtel Business Presents Empowering Enterprises, powered by the Economic Times. Today, the focus is on mobile banking, the opportunities, the potential, the speed breakers, if any, and of course, an issue that I think I, as a consumer, many consumers think about, which is as we move everything that is precious to us, for starters, our money, onto the mobile phone, how secure is that environment? I want each of our panelists to briefly comment on security when it comes to mobile banking and whether it's just a perceived problem or a real one. Do you want to set the ball rolling, Salil?
So I would just start with an observation that people who use mobile internet, if we look at their profile on what they have actually used that mobile internet for, e-commerce, social media, YouTube, that comes in the top 3-4 bracket. Banking is maybe 5th or 6th. People are already adopting in large numbers to e-commerce sites and other avenues where some kind of a personal information is shared, and there's some kind of a perceived that loss of personal data. But when it comes to mobile banking, maybe that perception is slightly higher of security issues, which actually is not there. If you look at it from a technologist point of view, I don't think there is any issue on security, and I'm sure our banker friends will agree, and Ramas will also corroborate the same. So I don't think security is actually an issue out there.
But it's there is a perception among consumers, and so it's also about tackling that perception. Mr. Sabharwal, when it comes to security of transactions on mobile phones, especially banking transactions on the mobile phone, what would your thoughts be on the subject to all and any consumers who are listening?
It's a very important question, Manvi, because whatever we do, we have to look at it from a customer's perspective. and whatever we feel is irrelevant till the time we have got the customer convinced on that. So if you look at it from that perspective, while on one hand we all believe and we are sure that the data is fully protected, whenever we partner with anybody or whenever we give out any information to the customer, the data never leaves or customer information never leaves our location. So customer data always resides within the bank and never goes out, and we've never had a situation where any breach has happened. So to that extent, the data is protected, the customer is protected. The only thing which customers should remember is they should never part with any secured information relating to their one-time password or their user IDs or date of birth or anything else, because the bank would never call for this information.
I think that's an important, simple rule to remember, that the bank would never call.
Yes.
And I think that, it bears repetition again and again. I have to say, I get that SMS from State Bank of India, but do you want to add to that to allay, sort of customer concerns on the security front? And I'm surprised to note that both ICICI Bank and State Bank of India haven't said that the success of mobile banking hinges on the strength of the signal.
Right.
But let's talk about customers and security.
Yeah, so actually, as Mr. Sabharwal said, I strongly agree with him. I think the customer awareness and the customer education is the most important for the banks to move customers from the other channels to the mobile channel, as the fear factor of insecurity or so one of the key rule is that bank never asks, I'm repeating.
Yes,
that
and it bears repeating.
Yeah, either on the phone or by email or any kind of a social engineering where people may like to ask your user ID, password, PIN or OTP or any other credentials which are very, very personal to you. And in terms of the security of the channel is concerned, from technology perspective,
there are strong assurances from both of you that that is secure.
Yeah, that is secure. That is highly secure, more secure than your desktop as well, because the GPRS network on which you use, it has an encryption algorithm which are more secure than your desktop or broadband kind of a network where you use the internet banking.
Okay, reassuring and point taken. Salil, you wanted to add to that very quickly.
The potential security issues. One is that some fraudster trying to elicit information from you. Second is when you tend to lose your phone, and most of the people tend to store some of the personal information on the phone. So that also becomes one source of leakage. Right. So I think then there are technology-related solutions which are you should be able to wipe out your data if you lose your phone. I think simple steps like these should make it much more secure and much more fraud-proof, so as to say.
Ramas, I'm going to leave the last word to you. You've talked about how there could be a revolution in mobile banking in the next 3 years, for example. But if you had to pick 2 or 3 areas to watch out for when it comes to mobile banking, what would they be?
I think going beyond mobile banking, I want to refer to a term called mobility. In terms of how the fact that you have a mobile banking app or a mobile app on your hand that helps you to do a lot of financial services could well be integrated with a lot of the ecosystem. So it could be in terms of the points of purchase and how you could provide a much tighter experience either through loyalty, rewards, redemption, or it could be on the other end saying what kind of innovations can I now provide, what are the new banking products can I offer, given that I now know that I have the attention of the consumer of one. So I am talking to my mobile, my bank, and what could I do through that, and kind of go from there. So I see a lot of possibilities of integrating the ecosystem that I think will happen as customers and banks try to figure out what's the best model that works for them. So exciting times, Manvi.
On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for your insights. I have to say, when it comes to mobile banking, it seems like we've touched the tip of what's on offer. We'll see how the next couple of years unfold. Thank you for your time and for your insights, and to the viewer for watching Airtel Business Presents Empowering Enterprises, powered by the Economic Times. Goodbye.